vibes out on this side. Yeah, you know the vibes.
How is it that you were able to turn friendships into your real estate business? How do you know when an agent has a lead problem or a systems problem?
Yeah.
What's the real cost of refusing to delegate? How has your faith in God helped you in business?
Almost 100% of the time, it's a systems problem. It was a $2,000 rental at the time, and it turned into a $5 million sale for an NBA player. If I'm traveling, I'm making money. What God has for me, no one can take.
Welcome to another episode of TruTalk. Today, we have someone I have a lot of respect for. I believe so much in this podcast because it gives us a chance to sit across from some of Miami's best realtors and entrepreneurs, understand how they think, and break down the approach behind what they've built. So the people watching can learn from it, apply it, and hopefully be inspired by the stories and lessons along the way. And I wanted our next guest on this podcast because she understands something every realtor and entrepreneur needs to learn: how to build real relationships and how those relationships become your reputation. She has spent nearly 20 years in real estate, but long before that, she was already mastering the art of networking, connecting people, building trust, and creating opportunities through relationships. What's especially impressive is that many of her clients are also her friends. Some started with a rental and stayed with her through buying, investing, selling, and every chapter that followed. That kind of loyalty doesn't happen by accident. It comes from the reputation she has built consistently, showing up for people, creating value, and earning their trust over time. Today, I want to break down how she builds that kind of trust, how she turns relationships into long-term business, how she leads people, and how faith, mindset, and systems have shaped the way she works. Please welcome Bethany Martinez to TruTalks.
Hi.
Hey, Bethany.
Wow, what an intro. I've watched some of your podcasts and your intros are amazing. And I was so excited to hear mine and you crushed it.
My
Thank
favorite
you.
part.
My heart is beating. So I'm like, wow, it's so amazing.
Yes. And I my favorite part of the podcast is when I do the intro and just kind of like feel your energy as we're saying this intro.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the most special moments.
Really
and you're a special person, and that's why you're here today, and it's for a reason. I've had the opportunity to serve with you on boards and see you in leadership, and we've been in leadership together, and I have firsthand seen your ability to network, your relationships, your integrity, the type of person that you are in front of the bright lights and the cameras and the stages, and away when you're alone.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here today, and that's why I do this podcast, to put people like you here and showcase and show who you are and what you do and what makes you special. And today we have a great opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
So thank you for being on this
course.
podcast.
It's an honor.
You told me that a lot of your clients become your friends through the business, and they become your friendships. That's something that I haven't heard from any guest or seen here with other people. How is it that you were able to turn friendships into your real estate business?
Well, so a lot of my clients become my friends, right? That's because I lead with the heart first, I think. Also, I've been a very social person throughout all my industries, which started in hospitality. A lot of my skill sets came from hospitality. In
Okay, I
hospitality,
didn't know that.
you have to be social. You have to know how to serve people. You have to know how to remember certain things about people. So that way, when they come back, they feel welcomed. And I believe those were the skill sets that truly prepared me for real estate. So clients immediately when I meet them, or friends when I meet them, you're building that relationship with them. And then you're learning things about them. And eventually your friends become your clients. And that's just really how my business has been built. A lot of my friends want to do business with me because we have strong relationships. And immediately when I bring on a client, I really try to get to know them, get to know their needs, get to know what they're looking for, their family, where they're at in life. And because of just like my naturing personality and how I'm always looking to get to know someone deeper, it becomes a lifelong relationship. And then, if you're a good realtor, you're checking in with these people, you're learning about their life, you're foreseeing things that could be happening where they're going to need you in the future. So just like you nurture relationships is really how you nurture clients. So I think I'm really blessed that I'm able to say that a lot of my clients are now friends. And I think that does happen when you're doing real estate and really pouring into the clients that you have.
Yeah, because you're spending a lot of time with these people,
Absolutely.
etc. I didn't know about the hospitality. Tell me a little bit about your background in hospitality.
So I used to work in production. I started off working for a production company, and then I moved into hospitality management, doing events in different restaurants. I opened up quite a few restaurants in Miami, and always working the events department and managing and just kind of checking in on the staff and the guests that come. And then I worked for the Miami Heat in the suites and the lounges.
No way.
And that was really like a pivotal moment in my life, like managing the relationships with ticket holders and people who wanted to purchase tickets and lounges. And that was a really great experience. And some of my best deals in real estate came from that job. And honestly, I made no money in that job. I did that job for the perks, to be able to go courtside to games and manage these relationships and meet these people. I was working with my best friend at the time, selling tickets, but whether I made money selling tickets or not, I probably made none. I made some of the best relationships of my life, and I closed some of the biggest deals in my life because of those relationships.
Wow, look at that. So what year were you with the Heat?
This was definitely back in like 2018, maybe even maybe even further. This is when the Heat lost against the Mavericks. It's probably way back.
Bethany,
do you remember that game?
Hold on.
That was a big game, and I was there at that game.
So, okay, fun fact, funny story, right?
Okay.
First of all, I always tell people when I meet them, I'm a Heat legend. They're like, what do you mean you're a Heat legend? My picture is on the 300 level at the arena. You know the wall, like the fans?
I do.
There's a picture of me with the wig and the NBA Finals there. And I remember that there was a time when I first started dating my wife, one of our first dates, I took her to a Heat game.
Okay.
And I said, at halftime, I'm going to take you somewhere special. And she's like, oh, I'm going to show you something. So she's like, wow, does this guy like know a Heat player? You tell the story and she like cracks up. It's a funny story. So I walk her to the 300 level. We go up and then I go and I say, and she's like, what? And she's like, oh, it's a picture of me. I'm going to make sure it gets there on their screen so you could see it. But like back when the Heat signed LeBron the first time, hopefully we get him now a second time.
Yeah.
I bought season tickets with my brother and we bought it the summer right before they signed LeBron. Like we got the tickets, and at that time we had like $25 a game per seat. I was in section 307, like right almost at mid in the upper level, row 4. So I had like some nice seats, $25 a game. I was like, let's do it. I was young back then. I was like, what, like 26 years old or something? Now everyone knows my age. Yeah, it's okay. And then so next thing you know, we signed LeBron. I'm like, oh my God, we hit the jackpot. You know that my season ticket rep called me back and said, hey, we'll buy your tickets at $65 a game back from me.
Did you do it?
No.
And
I had season tickets the whole entire year through everything. I was there when we lost to Dallas. I was there when we beat OKC. I was there for that Ray Allen game 6 shot. I was there game 7 when we beat San Antonio. So I lived there. So we were there at the same time.
We were. Except I really wasn't paying attention too much to the game. I was really just there working every angle, building those relationships. And I'll even say, like, one of my biggest deals at the time, I was still like beginning years of real estate, was I had built some relationships and I rented to a lot of the coaches that were coming in because, they're coming in from out of state, and I would rent them apartments in the area. Oh, wow. Then I started getting the opportunity to rent apartments to the rookies because, the rookies would come for 6 months. No one really knew if they were going to stay. So they would give me the rookies, but I didn't care. I was like, as long as I was getting trusted with the relationships. And then I moved a few of the rookies in, and some of them ended up staying on the team. And then after being there for them, there was 2 particularly that stayed, and one that ended up staying longer, getting a $55 million contract. This was like the craziest experience I've ever had in my life. He was renting like a $2,000 apartment in downtown. Never really thought he was going to stay, but that was the year that they traded Dwayne Wade. And because they traded Dwayne Wade, money was available, and they gave him a $55 million contract. And he ended up staying, and it was literally like in 24 hours, they went from moving out of their apartment and searching for a $5 million house. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, talk about like rags to riches stories. Like for them, how these young players go from making nothing to these large contracts and then deciding like, I'm going to get out of this apartment and get into a $5 million house. And that was the first deal I ever did.
Wow.
And because I was there, I mean, I was friends with the wife. We went to church together. I made sure they had everything they needed. It wouldn't have happened if it was just a transaction. But that's what's so important, and it goes to show any transaction, no matter the size, can lead you to something big. It was a $2,000 rental at the time, and it turned into a $5 million sale for an NBA player. And at the time, that was the largest signed contract for the Heat for someone like him. So it was a huge sale in my life. And I always say, like, if I wasn't there building relationships, really pouring into these people, because, you know, after so much fame and publicity, these players end up getting financial advisors and people that are managing their funds. So they tend to like weigh out and push away all the new, like the agents that they don't want in the transaction.
Yes.
So you really got to get them in like a certain part of their career where you're trusted and you can have that opportunity, because once financial advisors and teams get in, they bring in their own people, and they're not just using whoever they want anymore. They're using the people that they tell them to
Their
use.
team, yeah.
You know? So I've had 2 deals like that have worked out, and they both started with rentals. And I will say it's because in the beginning, when they were nobody and they weren't getting all the fame, I was there for them. I was assisting them, and I was able to get them their first purchase here. So
That's very good. And I love that you said that and you made that example, because a lot of people go and say, yeah, I don't want to work with this buyer because this is just a little rental. It's not going to make me much money. Or I don't want to do this inspection because it's only a 4-point and wind mitigation for insurance. It doesn't pay much. I'd rather do this other thing, right? But if you have that values where you're consistently treating everybody as if they were a multi-million-dollar client, you're preparing yourself for that. The day that you do get that millionaire, that billionaire that wants to work with you, you've already practiced with other people and you're ready to treat them. So I love that you have that mentality that you treat everyone as if they're a $55 million NBA player contract. And I know that something about you is, and that I've seen it firsthand, is when you build a relationship with someone and you're always figuring out like ways, how could I help you? How could I help you succeed? How could I help you be better? Even putting yourself to the side, I've seen you, and elevating your friends in leadership, even on boards, to elevate other people. Where did the passion to help others come from?
Well, I feel like when I started real estate, there wasn't this type of training and teams, and in the career was very everybody for themselves. Because I started back in 2012. Teams weren't really a thing. It was individual agents doing their thing. And then early on, I got into the leadership board. And in leadership is when I realized that there was a bigger community, a community of people who truly wanted to help people succeed in real estate and make sure they were doing things right. So I think because of just my nature, hospitality driven, and then getting in boards very, very early on, it really allowed me to lead with service and servant leadership. And I truly think like that's just how I enter into all my relationships, kind of identifying if there is something that I can fill, like a gap that I can fill in someone's life, or an introduction that I can be made, or, you know, or inspiration or some type of motivation. But I mean, I look for that in relationships, because I think those relationships where you can feed to each other and you can give to each other, they produce fruit, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, anytime I meet someone, the first thing I'm thinking of is getting to know them and how we can work together. At what capacity, if we were going to work together, what capacity would we? How would that look? And then if there's a need that I can fulfill, that I can help, how can I do that? You know, so I just look at all relationships like that. It's the best way to look at it. It's almost like a business plan to like bringing in fruitful relationships in your life. And I just think it's really important, because there's not enough hours in the day, and you really have to be selective with who you share your time with. Not saying that we can't have a lot of friends, but like, how nice would it be to identify the people that are coming into your life and what bucket of your life they would fit in to really be fruitful?
Yeah. I love that. Treat every relationship like a business plan. That's a great tip.
Yeah. I mean, while being authentic and genuine, but like, if you don't see value in a relationship, how is it going to bring value to your life? How do you really take time away from your personal life, your family, your business, for a relationship that you just don't think it'll add value. And I mean, sometimes you're in that relationship to add value to them, not necessarily you're going to get it back.
Of course.
Then you can know that right in the beginning as well. And you can treat it as such moving forward.
And sometimes you add value to yourself by adding value to others.
Absolutely.
And I know that you're an entrepreneur beyond the real estate transactions.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me where your entrepreneurial spirit came from, where you're able to move it and take it beyond just a real estate transaction into like other ventures and things that you do.
You know, my dad was always an entrepreneur. So it was a
Okay.
self-made man. Even though he didn't really teach me how to do business, he just showed me by being the provider of the family and always having his own business.
Yes.
And then I really think it was, getting into real estate that really shows you what it's like to be a business owner, because real estate is self-made. You are building your own business. And that is when my life took a turn and I was like, how am I financially? How is my financial health? What are my skills that I'm bringing to my clients? So getting into real estate is really where things change. And I realized like I had a lot of passions that I wanted to do and I was good at a lot of things, but sometimes you need to focus on one thing to get there, right?
Yes, of course.
So as much as I love doing a lot of different things, I said, what is the vehicle that I'm going to use to be able to earn an income, build a business, get the life that I want? And I said, okay, real estate is it. It was plan A and no plan B. And I think knowing that and really building myself in real estate, I realized, okay, this is what it's like to be a business owner, because it's up to you to go out there and get the business. It's up to you to
Absolutely.
figure out your marketing plan. It's up to you to move this needle, right?
Yep.
And then after that, you start realizing like, I'm great at a lot of things. It's not just real estate. I'm a creative, I have my hospitality background. I love serving people. And then after you're already good at your one thing, then you start realizing that can be your umbrella. And then you start having your other things under your one thing. And I think this podcast is a true testament to you doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You started off in inspections and you realize like, that is something that you're great at. That's what brings in all the money. But underneath that, you have all these different elements to who you are as a business owner. And I even think like back in the day, I created I used to go to BNI. And have you ever been to BNI?
Yeah, I've been invited to every BNI.
Okay,
on the
you've been
planet.
invited to BNI. I started a BNI chapter. We all know BNI. I started a BNI chapter and it was great. And I did it for a couple of years, but it was just so mundane to me. It was the same thing every chapter. And listen, consistency
It's a lot
works.
of effort too.
It's a lot of effort. It's your money, your efforts that are going to it, your planning. And I said to myself, of like, if I just put this much energy into my own business and doing my own
There you
thing,
go.
I could succeed. If I can build for someone else, like, why can't I build for myself? And I even created a community of women called Females for Profit, where it was
wow.
women who wanted to turn their passions into profit, and everybody had different businesses, and we would come together and do workshops and teach you how to, start a business. And it was funny because a lot of the women that came to these events were real estate agents, because again, we're real estate agents, but we're also creatives. We're also family. We also have these like side businesses and things that we're good at that maybe
Yes.
aren't making us money. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I'm able to do that because I established a good, strong real estate business. And now I'm able to have these other businesses underneath. And I'm starting to see it's a trend for a lot of us now, because we're all now just not real estate professionals or industry professionals, but we are now able to master our craft and then do the creative things that we want to do.
Yes, it's true, right? You build, you stick to your niche, you stick to your craft, you build it. It empowered you to believe in yourself that you could do more.
Absolutely.
And yeah, of course, you have to find ways of generating other streams of revenue.
Yes.
Like I remember, you go back to the Bible when God told Adam, don't only depend on this river. You got to depend on multiple rivers, because if this river dries up, then you have other rivers
Absolutely.
that you could drink from. And it's the same thing. Like I started TruView, I built TruView, I built it to be one of the biggest inspection companies in Florida. And during that, I saw a need in the mold industry and how what mold remediation was. I opened up a mold remediation company, and so I have a mold remediation company as well. It's like building other businesses
Yep.
through your business, right? And then just recently, last year, my wife is my business partner now. My wife used to run our operations at TruView. Now she's my business partner.
That's awesome.
And she opened up an insurance agency. So now we're able to help people with insurance, and it's finding how to help people, but finding out what they need.
Exactly.
And you're a specialist at that I see in helping people with what they need in order to build those relationships.
Yeah.
What are you listening to in conversations to understand what people actually need?
Well, the important thing to know about a conversation, if you just listen and not talk, you'll learn a lot about people. And a lot of the
Oof, that's
times,
fire. I love that. It's true.
it's just listening is so important. And a lot of us do not do that enough. And listening to someone pour out their heart or just share what's on their mind or share certain things about their business, they'll tell you everything in a conversation. And then if you just ask questions, I'm very inquisitive, but they always say that some of the richest people are the curious people. But I'm just very curious about everybody and a lot of different things and asking them questions that can dig deeper or that can learn about their business. So if it's listening, that's one. And then asking questions just to dig a little deeper to see what people share with you, you know? And that's what I do in questions. And I just kind of sit back and I think to myself, I'm like, a lot of the times I'm like, God, did you put this person in my life? Because obviously everything that they're sharing, I have somewhat of an answer for, or I can help them with, or I can pour into. And I usually take that as a sign, you know? And there's a lot of times just throughout my industry where agents will just call me new agents, seasoned agents, and they'll just ask me for certain direction and advice. And I always say that's not a coincidence. That's usually God opening up the conversation and having that person reach out to you. And listen, I've had random conversations that are an hour long in the middle of the day, and most people don't even have time for that. They're not stopping what they're doing in a work day to just have a random conversation. I take that very seriously because usually when someone's calling me, it's not to waste my time. It's really something that God is saying, just pour into the person or just share what's on your mind and be intentional about it. So I've had a lot of stories where, you know, someone will just reach out and I'll say, let's just jump on a call really quick. We'll talk it out. And it'll be something that has like been life-changing for their life. And so I treat that special because, you know, when you feel called by God to be a servant in any which way, it looks differently for everybody. And, you know, sometimes it's me like stopping my day to give someone my attention and just to share with them. And in those conversations, you can identify certain things. But even when you're just out and meeting new people and really caring about people and really being able to just understand like, where is this going to go after? Am I going to get your phone number? Are we going to exchange contacts? What's the purpose of putting someone and saving them in your phone if you're really not going to do anything with that contact?
Of course.
And if you don't ask questions on who they are and what they do and dig a little deeper, how do you know you even want to do business with them? And I've always have like a way I even save people in my phone. It's like name, number, and a note of how we met and what can be done in the future to reach out. And then there's a whole system on if I'm going to reach out that my assistants can handle after the fact on those reach outs. So it's a very simple system if you choose to care to like store people in your database like that, but also as you're getting to know people. And I can say like everybody has a note in my phone. Everybody has some form of a note because if you can't remember, I can always go back to like what we said in the conversation and how I met them. And that stands very strong when you're like bringing up a new conversation or you're reaching out. It's like, I remember you from here and I remember you said this. And then, you know, the conversation goes from there.
Bam. Yeah, that's so true. And remembering is like so important. I know that a lot of people, they want to be in these rooms and networking rooms, meeting people, etc. Bethany, how is it that you meet someone for the first time and approach them without making it seem like you want something from them?
Well, usually I don't want anything from them. You know, I see where we can collaborate on things and where the relationship would be good for each other. Because if there's something that I need from you, I know there's something that I can give you. So when you already think with that mindset of reaching out to someone, if you consider yourself a high value person that adds to the relationships in your life, that adds to business, you already know that whoever you're going to meet, there's a way for you to add value should you want to do that. So going into a conversation with someone is just getting to learn who they are, what they do, and then you deciding how you want to either input something in their life, share something together, or collaborating. And a lot of the rooms I'm walking into are rooms that I put together. You know, they're the rooms that I collaborated. I worked with people. I put the event together. I know who's going to be there. I'm usually making the introductions.
Yes.
And events was kind of my background on where I started. So like the rooms I'm walking into, I know who's in these rooms. I'm usually organizing these events in these rooms with the organizer or doing them myself. And then that's an advantage because you know who's coming, you know who you're meeting, and you know who you can introduce to each other.
But what about like them feeling that way? Because sometimes like you help someone and then someone does something for me, and then sometimes my mind goes and says like, oh,
You got to do something
yeah,
back.
like I wonder what favor I need to return.
Then I have a long checklist of favors that I need to return, right? And that's not a bad thing to have.
Yeah.
Having a long list of people that you've helped, if they feel like eventually you did something so great for them that they would love to return that favor, I would love to receive that one day when I need it, but I won't take advantage of it, you know? And I think that's like a great thing to have in a sense where you know someone has shown up for you so many different ways. You know, at some point when you have the opportunity, you'll show up for them. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So maybe I'm not going to approach a relationship with, hey, I'm giving you this so you can give me something in return. But if someone feels compelled that they owe you, the time and the place will come. Don't worry about it. You know, take this. And then when I need something, we'll all know how you can return the favor.
Yeah, I guess it's more like going back to the grain, right? Going back to the principle, going back to the word, going back to God, right? It's like you give without expecting anything in return. But if there's one thing that I know is that when you sow a seed,
it comes back
it
tenfold.
comes back tenfold. So I think that's why God's blessed your business and God's prospered you and put you in favor of so many people, because you truly have that unselfish heart. And I'm excited about this podcast and this because I'm learning here today, right? Part of my job as a business owner is to go out there and network and meet people, etc. One thing that I see is that I go to these realtor events, I get agents' phone numbers, and then the connection stops there. So why do connections just stop there? And how could you turn those connections into a relationship?
You know, it takes effort and it takes work. You've done really good at that. You've found various ways to reach out to your clients. And I will say, like, sometimes clients don't want to feel like you're reaching out to them about the transaction. Sometimes you should just be checking in on your friends, checking in on your clients, and just seeing where you can add value in their life, or just seeing a simple check-in sometimes to see how they're doing. We have so many ways to stay connected with people via social media and all of these outlets. I think sometimes people just want to be remembered, not just because, it's time to buy or it's time to sell, but it's like truly. And some of my longest standing client relationships are the ones that I'm in the area on this day. Would you like to grab dinner? Would you like to grab a coffee and just kind of reconnect? And I think that takes time. It's also like prospecting, but I think that's a real way to stay connected with your clients and your relationships. And there's key friendships now that we don't talk every day, but I make it a point to reach out to them every now and then and set up a date or a call or something like that. And it usually is so perfect and timely because, you know, we only have so many hours in the day. Like I said, you can't spend all of them talking to people, but if you're intentional and just make time for that, it'll be really fruitful. And I think people appreciate that. And that's how you keep those relationships.
And talking about intentional, how is it that you make this relationship when you meet someone sound intentional and be intentional and not like part of a networking strategy? Because people, like, you go to these events and you're meeting people and everyone's like, yeah, give me your number. Here, tap. Here's my thing. Oh, yeah, here, just put your phones together, and they tap. And then it feels like, I feel like, oh, this just feels like part of a networking strategy. Mm-hmm. How do you not make it feel like a networking strategy?
You know, a lot of it, you have to kind of weigh out the people you want to speak to when you're at these events and when you're networking and who you want to talk to, right? And usually in the first couple of minutes of a conversation, you can kind of identify where you can connect with this person. And then I think from there, you just decide like, okay, this is the avenue I want to go, and I'm going to make sure to remember this and to then reach out later on, right?
Yes.
Because again, like if I know nothing about you and I didn't take the time to ask you some key identifying questions throughout our conversation, really, what am I going to remember and how am I going to reach out to you afterwards? So I think it's all about being intentional is really the conversations that you do have. Maybe instead of having 100, you have 3, but those are 3 conversations where you really got to know something about the person and you can take away something that will give you a reason to reach back out after.
Quantity over quality.
Yeah. It's like, why are you going to an event, reaching out, connecting with 100 people that you know nothing about?
Yes. You know, it's funny because, our brand ambassador, Michael, he when I interviewed him and we talked about working together, he said that he would go to these events, and he said that when he would go to a realtor event, he would already have a list of people that I said, I need to talk to these
Like
people.
he did his work in
at this
advance,
event, right?
Right.
So it's good that you say that, right? Instead of like trying to connect with a whole bunch of people, it's like, okay, I'm going to be at this event. I'm going to be in this room. There's certain people I need to talk to. I need to go and make those meaningful relationships and those meaningful connections.
Yeah. And then being different, you know, if you're in sales and you know the approaches to the client, like how can you be different? I'm going to bring up a call that I got this morning because it was hilarious. And I have an obsession of when people cold call me, having like just a couple of minutes of a conversation with them if I'm free to see how good they are and how far they will go.
Okay.
You know, my friends think I'm crazy because I'm the only person that will literally have a phone call with someone that's cold calling me on something.
I wish I had more of you.
You know,
like,
I'm literally like, okay, so what are you selling? All right. And if, I mean, at some point I'll hang up. But this morning, as I was getting out the car to get here, it's across the street, a guy obviously cold called me because I was like, who is this? And he's paused and he goes, it's John. And I'm like, what would you like, John? And he's like, would you want to punch me across the face if I told you this was a cold call right now? And I literally was like, wow. Oh, you know what? I've never gotten that intro before, but I really like it. I would love to know what you're selling. I'm about to walk into podcast today. This is not the right time, but I just want to say, open up with that intro a couple more times because you had me cracking up, and the way that he said it was like, he just knew, he probably cold called so many people that he was just tired of getting hung up on.
Yeah.
So he's like, what can I do differently? I was like, I definitely wouldn't punch you across the face, but that was great.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's like those types of ways of like really being different and unique when you meet people is also important. Showing your personality, you know?
Yeah, being yourself.
Show who you are, show your personality, and ask those identifying questions that can really, it could be 2 or 3 questions, but they're different. They're not like, oh, who you are, what do you do, whatever, you know, just something that can take it deeper.
And going back to like that, remember that Miami Heat story you told me?
Yes.
Kind of leads me into what I'm going to ask you now, because like with you, clearly that first transaction is not the beginning of the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's the beginning of the journey.
Yep.
Right? So how should agents think differently when first interacting with a client in the beginning of their journey with a client?
Well, if you just think that it's a relationship and not a transaction, and just knowing that you want to care for this person for the rest of their life, you start thinking about their future, their financial future, you help them make decisions, you prepare them. And then once the transaction closes, that's not the end of the transaction, because either they're going to sell at some point, they're going to upgrade, they're going to downsize. There's so many opportunities to do that and to be able to keep the lifespan of a client going. So I think it's just important to know, like, in the beginning, it doesn't just end with the transaction. Where can you continue to add value? Where can you continue to help them with like future home improvements and making sure everything is going good in the property and checking in on them? I think just checking in on them is so important. Anybody that's doing good in real estate has a proper system to follow up, because systems is everything, because not one person can do all of this by themselves. And I always say it's, you either need to do it, dump it, or delegate it.
Ooh, dump it, or delegate it. That was fire.
And that's a saying that comes from my business partner from our virtual assistant business that we opened up a few years ago, because the reality is you're only one person and you're going to max out at a certain point of your career if you don't outsource and delegate and bring on staff, which, you know, like, you cannot operate at a maximum level just a single agent.
Yeah,
and usually that's the turning point for most agents, being able to realize, like, I need to bring on staff and support now.
Yeah, building systems.
Yeah.
And you've got, people have gone from you from renting to buying to investing to selling. Can you give me one example of a relationship and how the journey went from like that first transaction all the way through those different stages?
There was a client. Absolutely. Okay. So I'll take you on the journey from the transaction, from the beginning.
Yeah.
From renting to closing and to investing. There was a client, never thought he could purchase a property. And this was many, many years ago. He bought he went from just renting and then thinking like, what do I want to buy next? Prices were so different back then. You could get duplexes, you could get multifamily for the 200-300s. And I remember just showing this client, because sometimes you need to show clients the way. You need to prepare them. You need to tell them you can do it if you just prepare for it. And just kind of guiding that client throughout the process. He eventually bought something. He was able to buy a duplex. And because of that, he ended up living in one side and renting out the other.
Smart.
And then he did it after he got the hang of that, he started doing it again and again and again. And he went from, renting to owning a duplex to now owning multifamilies everywhere. And it just goes to show you like what you can do with your clients when you guide them, right?
Yes.
And that's literally all my relationships. Every renter has either bought after the fact, they've either bought, then sold, then bought again. Or when they start to realize like how easy it can be if you plan to invest and you show them the way. It's all about showing the clients the way. But it's, it's really hard to show clients the way if you haven't already done it yourself.
Of course.
If you don't also own multifamily properties and haven't done it. So it's doing it myself and showing clients that it can be done is where the trust factor is. And then where, the growth happens.
Being an example.
And
absolutely.
Being
there. Yeah. So I know that, okay, so someone, they say they buy a house and they close. They're not buying another house within months. Like there's sometimes years that passes by, like the quiet period. And I noticed that it's like during those quiet years that people, agents and realtors don't stay top of mind.
Absolutely.
And then they lose the client.
Yeah.
What do you do differently during the quiet years to able to sustain and nurture the relationship?
That goes down to systems. It's not what I physically do. It's the systems that I have in place.
I love that.
And it's all about setting reminders and follow-ups and sending gifts. There's so many tools out there. We have tools like Client Giant that you're able to send top of the mind gifts. If there's a client that I think is like a really good client from the beginning, I'll already set them up on this gifting system. So from the beginning of our introduction, they're already getting these little drip campaigns of gifts along the way. And then with my systems, I'm setting reminders to reach out to them on specific holidays. I mean, these are really basic things that if someone just went back to the basics, they could implement in their business and it would be like game changing. And then as you're kind of following people and making sure you're following them on all platforms and seeing the life changes in their life and just kind of sending little touch points, that's how you really stay close. But again, when your clients become your friends, they're already in your
ecosystem. They're in your circle. Yes.
They're in your circle. You're seeing constantly what's going on. It's hard for them to leave you when you're fully in the circle together, kind of updating each other on life happenings and babies and things like that. But I think it's like really creating the systems to remind you of all these life updates and anniversary dates is key.
And and where I see you doing a lot too, which you're great at, is on social media.
Yeah.
So I haven't spoke to you in a minute, but I see you at events, and then we always see each other and we catch up. But like I kind of know what you've been up to, right? You've been dancing salsa, and you've done so many things, right? Like in Dominican Republic, and so many things that I see that you're consistently doing because you're sharing your life there on social media.
Yep.
And you're treating your social media account like a database that actually produces referrals. Mm-hmm. So a lot of realtors have CRMs and they have a database, but those databases isn't turning into repeat business.
Yep.
How is it that you turn your database into a referral source and repeat business?
Well, actually, this past year, we've launched this global referral director role with my partner at Compass, Megan. And it's been so great because it's already something that I love to do. We nurture a lot of the relationships with other agents, other markets, because being with Compass, we travel a lot to retreats.
Yes, I see that on social media.
Constantly doing events. We host a lot of events ourselves. We sell in Dominican Republic. We're constantly meeting relationships. And now it's really nice because at Compass, we're known as the go-to team for anybody who's looking to buy or sell real estate in Dominican Republic. And through that international business, we created the global referral director position where I'm spearheading that and I'm nurturing all these relationships that we get, because referral business is one of the biggest buckets of our business.
Yes.
And that's when agents in other markets are giving us referrals. And people don't realize that that's also a money-making business as well. You have your bucket of your database and your clients here, but also when you're out there traveling and meeting agents and learning other markets, you're building these relationships with other agents. Those are sometimes the most important relationships.
Yes.
Outside agents that know that they can refer their client to you and they're going to be taken care of from start to finish. So I really take pride in that because that's where a lot of our business comes from. And that role is nurturing the realtor, giving them updates. If you refer us a client, that client is going to be white glove service from start to finish, and you're going to get updates throughout the way. And when it closes, you're going to get an update that it closes, and we have a whole system of what that looks like. And then you're going to get your referral commission, and then we're going to leave a review, and it's just a repeated cycle. And I know that I don't know many people in the business who have taken referrals as seriously as us, and I really love it. It's something that I'm very, very proud of because it also is another form of connecting.
Yes.
You know, we have a referral guide. We have like a one-stop shop, and I'm proudly telling other agents in different markets, you know, traveling on all these boards, referrals have been the largest part of my business. Because when we're going to these other markets and we're going to these events, I'm already identifying the agents that I want to work with, that I want to connect with. And that's my own other system of campaigns that I send out to those people, letting them know if you ever refer me a client, it's going to be like you servicing that client, and you're going to get all the updates and you're going to know everything that happens. And that has been such a great thing that we've launched this year. And I think it's something that not a lot of people are focusing on. Everybody's like focusing on their market but you don't realize like referral business is a large portion. I mean, we live in South Florida. Everybody wants to live here.
Yep.
This is the market that everybody wants to be in. So who is referring these clients that are relocating in? Their attorneys, their financial advisors, their realtors in other markets. So that is something that I focus like a big portion of my business on.
No wonder. That's a big thing of your success. And that's a lesson learned for other realtors that tell me, I don't go to networking events and I don't need to network with other realtors. For what? What's the big deal for that? And look, you are a prime example of that and building that global network. And yes, I see why you're so special in that area because you're doing that at a very high level.
Yeah, if I'm traveling, I'm making money. You
there you go.
Every vacation has been like a reason to connect with a referral partner or meet a new referral partner or learn a new market and bring back the knowledge of who I can refer if anybody ever goes to that market.
Oh, I love that line. If I'm traveling, I'm making money.
If I'm traveling, I'm making money. We need to be able to sleep and make money, travel and make money. And I feel like the selling internationally and opening up international markets and really building out this referral system has been able to accomplish that.
Yeah, and I find it so interesting how most realtors are focused on marketing to the end consumer and trying to gain leads from people, but you're going out and marketing to other realtors.
Yeah.
Building relationships with them through your referral business and then getting business through there. So
Absolutely.
that's phenomenal. Something that people need to learn how to do that.
And you may not travel, you may not go into other markets, but with social media these days, we can target so many different people.
Absolutely.
You know, when I was first starting, I remember I was connecting with a top realtor in every market. And I was like, if I followed you, you had 10K followers or more in a different city, I made sure to connect with you, reach out to you, follow you and engage in a conversation. Because the benefit of being in South Florida is like everybody's going to know somebody that's going to eventually come here.
Yes.
And so you want to be able, and not everybody has an agent to refer business to. So if you can already put that in their mindset, like, listen, our market is hot. If you ever hear anybody talking about South Florida, I am your go-to. Reach out to me. That has generated so much business, just that alone.
Yeah. Hopefully we get one more person that comes to South Florida real soon, makes a decision, and LeBron comes back, and maybe you could help him find his next home.
You're ready for LeBron to come back.
And I know that you stepped into leadership, into boards.
Yes.
As soon as you got into the industry, very early in the game. How did being on leadership boards early in your career shape you and how you stepped into the industry?
Well, leadership has shaped me. Let's say it shaped me because in the beginning, like I had mentioned before, teams and collaboration and supporting agents, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So it's like every man for its own. There was principals, mainly like solo agents doing their thing. And then I remember just always like asking for advice and kind of just reaching out to people and never really getting tangible, valuable information that would build my career. And I mentored with a lot of agents. I was always the agent that would help you do whatever you needed in the beginning just to learn from you. And then once I got into a leadership board like the Miami Association, I slowly realized that that's a whole community of people that want to see agents grow, do better. You sit on this board, you sit with other agents who are brokers, who are top producers, who are sharing their tips, their value, what's working, what's not working. We're brainstorming on how to be better for the market. And it was such a game changer because it felt like a family. It felt like the main brokerage. You know how we all have to be a part of a brokerage? Well, the association was like home base, and then everybody can be where they're from. And I think that really showed me that like helping people be better also can help you as well. And that was a huge turning point. And I stayed in leadership almost throughout up until last year when I took a break for the first time. And it's just showed me how important it is to really lead and serve and learn. There's so many agents that have no idea what the board does. You know, they pay their dues and they keep it moving and they sell. And that's great because, you know, some of them are producing and living their life, but the board does everything to keep us operating as realtors. And it's just so great because even during COVID, we were the first to learn about how to navigate in our market, how to be able to show properties. So I think it gives you an edge. It gives you, you know, a step ahead when it comes to legal things and just how to protect yourself because we're the first to know everything. And it's just been a blessing because everything that I learned, I was able to share with other people. And, you know, leadership is important. And one thing they taught us in leadership is not just about you leading, but it's also about identifying the leaders to step into your place and to be able to do that better. Or just to be able to carry that legacy.
And I've seen that from you.
Right.
Yep.
And so out there, I'm always looking at like, who's the next agent to come in and thrive in their market? Who can come in and learn from me that can take what they've learned and do better. And that's literally what leadership teaches you.
And talking about what you just said is so powerful because we obviously know a beautiful story in the Bible.
Yeah.
When with Saul and David, and when the prophet Samuel anointed David as the next king, he wasn't going to be king right now. He was just identified as the next king.
Yeah.
And King Saul took that as an offense.
Did.
And he tried to kill David. And like his whole legacy collapsed. Like, and I guess Goosebumps says, I talk about this because I just saw the cartoon, the David cartoon on Netflix with my daughters. And I was seeing it there and it was so true being able to see that like in a cartoon. And what you just said is so powerful, right? So why do so many leaders struggle to find someone that could eventually replace them or outgrow them?
You know, maybe it's ego. Maybe it's not wanting someone to do better than you. But, you know, when you truly know and believe that God is the one that's given everything to you and he's the reason why we exist and why we're doing what we're doing, none of it belongs to us. So why do we care what we give to someone else that can benefit them for them to do better, right? So that's truly how I operate and how I realize like whatever I have, I can freely give. At the end of the day, a lot of people absorb things, but they don't actually apply it, right? So you can teach someone your ways, you can show them how to do everything, you can motivate them, and it doesn't mean that they're gonna do it as good as you, but then there's some people that are gonna do it better, and you should be okay with that. And that's how you can identify if you are truly a leader. Leaders help create leaders. They're not just worried about them being successful. Eventually, we only have a certain lifespan here on this earth, and we should be able to leave a legacy behind by the people that we mentor and the people that we inspire and the people that we share with. And it's always about leaving people better than you found them.
100%.
Right?
Love that.
Coming into someone's life and making sure that when you leave their life, you've left them better. That's truly what I believe. And I don't think that there's anybody in my life that can say that if whether we speak or we don't speak, that for the time that I was in their life, I didn't do them good or I didn't make them better. Or I didn't add value some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
And I do think that with back to relationships and friendships, I do think that there are seasons and there are reasons for friendships and relationships. And if you can just really own that and know that if there is a relationship that's in your life and it only lasts a certain season, maybe it was only supposed to be there for that season. And you should be okay with some, not all relationships are meant to carry into the next season. Some are for specific reasons and some are for specific seasons. And it's just like, breakups and how some people don't stay friends forever. You always have to think back, like, what was that season of life and why did I need that relationship? And maybe that time is, what did it teach me? And maybe it's time to move on so that I can invest and pour into another relationship.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, that's so powerful. And what should you be seeing in other people in order to know that as a leader, you're properly leading them well?
Because healthy things grow, and that's the most important thing. So if you're in a healthy relationship, if you're leading someone in a healthy way, you're going to see that they're going to grow with what you're sharing them and what you're teaching them. And if they grow and surpass you or grow to be better, like that is what the goal was when it comes to leadership. So that's like the perfect example of what I can say when it comes to how to identify if you're leading someone well. It's because they're going to grow. They're going to take what you've taught them and what you've shared, and they're going to apply it and they're going to learn from it. They're going to be better.
Yeah, I love that you said that, right? As you were saying that, something popped into my head, like a quote, that when you lead, it's not for the leader to grow, it's to see others grow.
Yes.
And I think that's like the main thing. And I've seen a lot of people come through here and come through this podcast who are leaders, and they're focused on seeing others grow. And they're not afraid of seeing others grow beyond them. Because like, I think about this and I remember when I was doing home inspections, I thought I was the best home inspector. Guess what? I was the best home inspector, And I when I was training my guys, I wanted them to be better than me.
Yeah.
And then not too long ago, I had an agent that had like this $20 million deal call me. And he, I used to do inspections for him back in the days. And he's like, Louis, I want you to do the inspection for me. I want you to be my inspector. You're the best inspector. You knew how the best to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, Jim, listen to me, man. I haven't done an inspection since 2019.
Like,
I'm not good at this anymore. All right. All right. I'm going to be like Conor McGregor. I'm going to step back in the ring and I'm going to break my knee. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
It's like, I'm not good. My guys are better than me.
Yeah.
And right now, my inspectors are better than me. I'm not a good inspector anymore, and I'm proud of that. And I tell the people in my leadership in my company, I'm looking for someone to replace me. I don't want to do this every day. There's other things that I want to do. I want to raise up others that could take my place. And as a leader, you got to focus on letting others replace you. And a true leader is one that figures out someone who could replace themselves.
Absolutely.
And that's something that we have to work on every day on a daily basis.
Yeah. That if you believe that being a leader is making someone better than yourself or someone to replace you, then imagine all the good you can do in this world. And if everybody continued to believe that, we would all be raising up people to be better than the next.
Yes. So I hear a lot of agents saying that they need more business, but they don't have a structure to hold that business together, right? How do you know when an agent has a lead problem or a systems problem?
Okay, how do I know someone has a lead problem or a systems problem? Almost 100% of the time, it's a systems problem, okay? Because we all have leads. Your database, your phone book is already step one. If you don't have them organized and you don't have them tagged properly and you don't have a CRM working for you, you have a systems problem. And I always say the first thing you can do when getting into real estate or even like taking your business to the next level, I know top producers right now currently reorganizing their database because that is the gold mine. And so we build our life on systems. My life is currently built on systems. I wouldn't be able to do anything without it. And that's also why my partner and I created a virtual assistant business called Pass the Task, because we believe that systems are so important that you cannot grow if you don't have systems.
Yes.
So the majority of the time, it's a systems problem, not a lead problem.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And you go back to like the foundation of a house. You gotta build the foundation strong and build it strong first in order for it to support the remaining structure of the house.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're, no, I don't have any leads. I'm not getting any leads. Yeah, but you don't have the structures and the system to support that leads.
Yeah.
And the reality is that God will not give you anything that you can't handle.
Absolutely.
So those leads aren't gonna start flowing until you get that system that's right there and set in place.
Yeah. And God wants you to be diligent with your business and diligent with what he's given you. and he can multiply that, but he wants to know that you can handle what he's given you.
Absolutely. So, as a solo agent, you might think and you hear the word systems, and you're thinking about all this complicated stuff. What does systems look like for a solo agent?
Well, it's having everything that you do written down. So that way, if you were going to build a database with bringing on an assistant, you already had your training manuals. You can easily start with what are your daily tasks that you do every day and start your manual or your guide to how to operate your business. If you just did that alone and create your training library, you can easily implement and drop any kind of virtual assistant or team member into that role. But a lot of the times we're just waking up and doing everything ourselves, and we don't have a checklist for everything that we're doing, and we're not organized everything we're doing. Every time I onboard a new client, it's usually coaching them first before giving them the VA, because they need to be organized whenever you're bringing on someone. And a lot of the times they need that coaching. So if you just wrote out your daily activities in a way that someone could step in, read it, and follow along, that is step one of just building out your plan every day. And if you have a different plan every day and you're not time blocking and like really being organized with what you're doing, if someone can't step into your computer and your drive and see where everything is, then you're not ready. Your systems are a mess.
Good.
You should be able to, someone should be able to log in and access everything that you have in your business and know where everything is, and it should be organized. And you should already have like cheat sheets for each folder. It's like you can do this already yourself as a single agent in order to be prepared to when you bring on that first team member or that first VA or your partner or however it is.
And a lot of people say that I don't have the money to hire. I don't have the finances to hire. I can't hire. So they do everything themselves.
Yeah.
What's the real cost of refusing to delegate?
Failure or just not growing. It's really simple. No one can do anything by themselves forever unless you just are planning to be capped at a certain level and never grow beyond that, which if you choose to do that, that's on you. But at the end of the day, growth comes with being able to multiply, whether it's multiplying yourself to be able to do multiple tasks, multiplying your deals and your business. So really, truly, it's like, if I don't know anybody that's doing it themselves. And so at least those that are successful. So you may not have the money, but you can start organizing yourself now and set aside the money. It's all about proper planning.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of agents live in like reaction mode, and a lot of business owners live in reaction mode. They're always being reactive. What would you say is this panic mode or reaction mode comes from? What percentage would you say comes from the market? And what percentage would you say comes from them not having the proper systems?
So panic mode for business owners it comes from not being prepared, not knowing your numbers and not knowing how to operate your business. Because when you're prepared, you know what's coming or you can foresee. I even say when it's slow in the market, that's a perfect time to step up the back end admin.
That's it. That's exactly what we do.
So It's like when it's slow season, great. I'm reorganizing my database. I'm implementing that system that I wanted to bring on. It's slow season for a reason. I'm bringing on that new assistant because now I have time to train them, or I'm bringing on that new team member. So it's like, so you should be anticipating the next slow season and the new efforts that you want to bring into your business because it's the best time to do it. So really, when people are panicking, it's just because they're not prepared.
Yeah, and you said that when something goes wrong, you take it as a lesson learned.
Absolutely.
Instead of letting it create anxiety. What is the first thing that you tell yourself when something goes wrong?
First, I identify if it went wrong because of me. And if it went wrong because of me, then I take full responsibility and I just own it really quickly and I bite the bullet. And then I realize, like, how do we never do this again? And it's just usually I should not be doing it. Like you said, there's probably someone that can do it better. And knowing that I'm not good at certain things in my business and knowing that I'm going to fail at this again, I should not be touching that. So I'm going to figure out who I need to hire, what system I need to put in place so that never happens again.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it means to not be reactive.
Absolutely.
Right? Like when you're driving to Miami, you can't just be reactive. You got to drive like watching other people.
You have to drive with eyes all around,
right?
Or you're gonna get caught on only in day doing something crazy.
Yes, and that's how it is. And I have a rule that everything is always my fault, even if it wasn't my fault.
That's
you know
a great
why?
way to own your life.
Because
That's the best way to own your life.
there's always something that I could have done better. If it was on the inspection report and we put it there and we explained it to the client, there was something I could have done better to do that. If an employee left because they got another offer somewhere else, there was always something I could have done better as a leader. So like even when something's not my fault, I always say it's my fault. And,
Absolutely.
And there may be something so small and so minimal that people say, no, Louis, that wasn't your fault. What are you talking about? But I say, no. It is always my fault. And I've lived that, right? Because in life, you're going to pay for things.
Absolutely.
And when something goes wrong, I said, well, that was a lesson that cost me X amount of money.
Sure did.
Right? Because you pay for coaching.
Absolutely.
You pay to learn from your coaches. So when something goes wrong, that was a lesson that cost us. Yesterday, I had a meeting. We had an in-person meeting with our inspectors. And we were saying a story about an inspector that checked the refrigerator and he didn't test the water dispenser because it was this refrigerator that had like a hidden water dispenser. And guess what? That was a lesson that I had to learn where the client got upset and left us a 1-star review.
Wow.
So that has a price to it, right? Mm-hmm. But I used the story that happened to me once many years ago that I was inspecting a property and that house had new appliances. And I remembered like there was a house that I inspected once that had all new appliances. And I forgot to run the dishwasher.
Wow.
Many years ago. And the guy moves in, he uses a dishwasher for the first time, and the dishwasher leaks everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
Why? Because while it was a new appliance, the dishwasher goes connected to the garbage disposal. And the garbage disposal has a plug. So the installer installed it, but he didn't know that you have to grab a screwdriver and hit the plug in the dishwasher.
Oh my goodness.
So now the dishwasher could drain in there. So I remember that this was back when 2017 when I first started TruView. And it was a $1,200 inspection, luxury home in Coral Gables. And the client was really upset. And there was many times that I just couldn't pay myself. Like I've said it before, my first year as a home inspector, I made $38,000.
Wow.
I didn't have money. Like I didn't live paycheck to paycheck. I lived inspection to inspection. And I had to refund this guy the $1,200. And it hurt me because there was no money in the bank during those days, right? But the way that I took it was, gosh, those were the best $1,200 I ever spent. Because guess what? After that, I established systems. We started taking videos of every time we run appliances. And through the years, like we're the only home inspection company that has a quality control team. So I actually pay 2 full-time employees to review all of my inspectors' reports to verify that they have videos of all the appliances, all the toilets flushing, all the water running, that if they said the AC is a 2010, someone's coming behind them and verifying that the age is right. And we have a quality control system. Why? Because of that lesson that I learned that day. Because I said, if I could make that mistake, imagine somebody else. You know, and that's what you're talking about building systems, is doing things just like that.
Yeah, I mean, even in my past, I lost a big deal because of just not getting to it in time. And sometimes time is of the essence, you know, like being prepared, like not being able to get the contract to a agent in time is like milliseconds from them accepting another offer. And you just think to yourself, you're like, wow, what could I have done differently? Could I have like stopped, got out, you know? But that was before I had assistants and people. I cannot be at my computer all day and contracts are going to get signed and everything's going to get sent out. But back then it was just me driving around with my laptop. I literally would have to pull over the side of the road to get things done. And I think losing that deal made me realize like, I can't keep operating like this.
Yeah.
Like I need to be able to attend at every minute, 9 to 5. If I'm driving around showing and at appointments, I need someone at the computer pumping out contracts and writing up listings and getting things done. So yeah, that really hurt. It was like a $5 million deal. And just knowing that you missed it by like seconds, it's like, that's never going to happen again.
That's why it's always your fault. And I'm part of a big coaching community nationwide for inspectors, inspection companies. And we're in like the the top group from the biggest inspection companies in the country. And when we're there in those masterminds, they criticize me and my business partner for having paying staff to review our inspectors' reports.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, no way. It's about establishing systems.
Absolutely.
Bethany, one thing I know about you is that faith has changed the outlook that you have in business and the outlook that you have in life. How has your faith in God helped you in business, and especially when things don't go the way that you hope for?
You know, it's funny because a few of like my past mentors and things like that would, after working together for years, would always just say, things just always work out for you, you know? And I would always say, I'm like, it's because what's for me, what God has for me, no one can take.
Amen.
And at the end of the day, I'm not going to stress if there was a Bible verse I read this morning. It was like, do not worry about tomorrow. Do not worry about the food you're going to eat. Do not worry about the clothes you're going to wear. Do not worry does not mean do not prepare and do not plan.
Ooh, fire.
It just
Love
means
that.
do not worry. Like prepare, plan, and do the best that you can to show up every day and be the best that you can be. But if things do not work out, or you do not need to worry today about 5 years from now in the future, you need to plan for it and then let God do what he does. So in my business, that's how I've always operated my business. Is like, if I'm here in real estate, it's because I'm called to do real estate. And if I'm no longer called to do real estate, God will call me to do something else, and I'll go gladly. And I've even had those conversations with God over the last couple of years. And I'm like, do you want me to still do real estate? Like, are we being called to do anything else? Because I'm just have a creative spirit and I always want to just add something else to the mix. But that's where these other opportunities to collaborate with friends and open up businesses that tie into my real estate business have happened over the last couple of years. So my business is purely run on God and preparation. And you live every life waking up like you have your days, but I try to say, like, I don't really suffer from anxiety or certain things like that, because what I can't control, but God can control everything.
Absolutely.
And so when you release that, you start to release like the pressure and the comparison and the things that can easily, cripple you from showing up daily. And it's a constant work. And you know this, like waking up and trusting God is new every day. The trust that you had yesterday is not the same trust that you're going to use today. It's constant work with laying down the things that you're concerned about, or the issues that you're facing, laying them down every day to God and saying, like, I'm going to wake up with a fresh wind, knowing that you're in control and that I'm going to crush today.
Yeah.
And it's constant work. And that's why when we get so busy sometimes, and we forget to read the Bible, and we forget to like praise him, and we forget to, go to church or anything like that. If you just get busy, you start to realize like it's so easy to quickly forget like who God is.
I know.
And just get back into your routine. That's why I say it's constant work. Remember who he is. And then when you start bearing the fruit that he gives you, you can't help but just thank him every day for what he's done. It's almost like the days without him you fear,
Amen to that.
It's like, I don't want the days without him, because I know what those days can look like. We see people walking this earth with those days daily, and it's those days of not trusting him and not relying on him that I fear. I never have those days, and that I can always just like give God my issues and my pressure and lay my head down at night and wake up like I did the best that I can do, and today's going to be another great day.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that things don't happen to you, they happen for you. Mm-hmm. And my faith in God shapes my hope and gives me hope, right? And a lot of people go and say, well, how do you even know God is real? How do you even know that this whole thing is real? That one day you just shut your eyes and everything just goes black. And you know what I say to that, Bethany? I say, I would rather live my life with the hope than live my life without a hope.
Absolutely.
And like every day we know that like if a deal didn't go your way, it's because there's something better. Mm-hmm. I remember a pastor one time told me, he said, Louis, God never says no. Mm-hmm. His answer is never no. His answers are not now, or I have something better for you. Mm. So when you see a no, you can't take it as this is a no. No. There's only two other options. Not now, or wait, I have something better for you.
A mentor that I've had in my life, he taught me, until this day, I believe it, never accept the first no. And never accept no if you truly believe that there is a solution and there is a yes. Just figure out how to educate them to get the yes. And I remember that because after so many deals, seeing deals just transform from a no into a yes in this business and real estate, cold calling, all those things, you start to realize like no is never really no. I'm not educating them enough. I'm not getting to the right person. And I'm not doing my part because I know there's a yes. I see it. I know. Why don't they see it? How can I get them to see it? So in my life, and it's funny because like I just never accept the first no, especially if I have conviction and this is something that I want.
Yeah,
I'm like, I will not accept no. I'm going to figure out how to get the yes.
and that's what faith does, right?
And that's what faith does, because that backed with faith, it's like, listen, it's not a no. Again, either God is going to shut the door or he's going to show me the other opportunity that I'm going to be like, all right, this is okay. This is where I got to go.
And then when you go through it and you see it later on your road, you're like, wow, this is what you had all along.
Yeah. And it's
Thank
usually
you.
so much better.
Right? Yeah. It's been amazing. What a great conversation. I've learned so much from you today and getting to know you and the things that you're saying. I know this has been a very powerful episode. And now we're going to enter into the rapid fire,
Let's
one of
go.
my favorite parts. So these are like quick hitters.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you some questions and just throw some quick answers at me.
All right,
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. One relationship every realtor should nurture more.
Ooh, that's good. Maybe your attorneys.
Attorneys.
They're pretty powerful in the transaction.
They are. Yeah.
And this day and age, they work hard, right? But they're like the legal aspect, and you want to make sure that you're able to pick up the phone and call your attorney anytime you have a question. And everybody's so busy nowadays, not everybody picks up the phone,
There's
So
all
I
this
think
screening and stuff.
yeah, there's all this screening or a million support staff that you have to get through to get to the attorney. But I think that if you don't have a good attorney relationship helping you in real estate, then that is a huge component that you need. Because I mean, like, everybody's using ChatGPT now and getting their language from ChatGPT, and you're losing some people are losing deals like that. But nurture your attorneys. They're super important, and they're pretty expensive. So
Yeah.
when you have a relationship that you can count on,
And a lot of luxury deals run through attorneys.
run through attorneys. Sometimes
it.
they're holding the deal together.
Biggest networking mistake.
Oh, wow. Biggest networking mistake. Leaving with no value and leaving feeling like you wasted your time. That's your fault. Like, you should be able to find something valuable about every event that you've attended or make one valuable connection. To leave feeling like it was a waste of your time, then you shouldn't have been there to begin with. I wouldn't attend any event that I didn't see would add value to my life.
One task agents should delegate immediately.
All of them. All of them. No, some tasks actually need you. But I will say that scheduling showings is such a occupier of your time. I haven't scheduled a showing in God knows how many years, and it's something I will never want to do again. Millions of agents, all of the agents, they never answer their phone. They never reply to showing time requests. You have to hit them up, email, phone number, text message. That is the first thing I would delegate, and I'm so happy that I don't have to do that anymore.
One quality you need in a business partner.
All the qualities you don't have.
Ooh, love that.
So it may not be
Fire.
one, but it could be one. But what you don't have is what you need to find
That's
in your
it.
business partner.
Complement each other.
And that's how I operate all of my partnerships. We are like yin and yang. Like, what I don't have, they have. What they don't have, I have. And that's why we're able to bring so much value.
Yeah, that's how me and my business partner are. Are you the planner of the friend group or the one bringing everyone together?
Wow, I'm both. I'm like, if I'm not planning it, I'm bringing everybody together. But if I'm bringing everybody together, chances are I planned it.
Yeah.
It's like,
I feel
so I'm
you.
definitely both.
What's your ideal reset? Travel, dinner with friends, prayer, or turning your phone off?
Oh man, I don't think I've ever turned my phone off unless it's died.
Yeah.
I think I love to travel, and travel has also been a big part of my work. But reset is when I like fast, and I'm currently doing one right now, and I sacrifice something that I really, really want, whether it's food or social media or something, and I totally just like disconnect from it for a certain amount of days, and I put a list together of things that I'm asking God to speak to me about. That is like the real reset, and I tend to do that a lot.
Nice. Okay. Top 3 Miami restaurants. Go. No thinking.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go. I need to find a place to go to date night. Tell me.
All right. I just went to Claudine. It was pretty good. What else? Oh, Fuchs. It's brand new. And it's not brand new. They've been around for a while. I used to go back in the day, but they just opened up a new venue. That one's also really good. And what else? I went to another one.
One more. Top 3.
Top 3. I think Hillstones in Houston.
I know, right?
To be honest, like they're just so consistent and so good. I can always count on getting the best meal of my life whenever I just want to pop into a restaurant. And it's not fancy. Like sometimes I'm just tired of all the fancy restaurants, but Hillstones is just so good and consistent. If you go there, you know.
Yeah, you
right?
can network there.
And you can network there. Great.
Yeah.
So Hillstones.
As a matter of fact, we just moved our office to Coral Gables.
So you're probably there all the time.
And I the first lunch that I went to was there at Hillstone, and it's incredible.
It's
the
like,
pork chop is my favorite from there. It's
hands down.
delicious. What's more difficult, finding the right client, the right business partner, or the right assistant?
Ooh, I want to say the right assistant. I mean, the business partner is really important too, but finding the right assistant, I tend to feel like people have a challenge finding that the most. You know, finding one that will stay with you, that will grow with you, that want to be under your leadership. Because a lot of people find assistants and then that's a revolving door for that role. So I will say that.
Or they push them out with their actions.
Yeah, or they push them out, or they're not growing with you, or sometimes they take everything and they leave you. You know, I've heard a lot of stories like that, and just being in the role that I provide assistance to clients, I find that that's a really hard. It's a personality match. It's communication match. Finding the right one.
Okay, finish this.
Okay.
Relationships compound when you
invest in them.
That's it. You heard it there. Bethany, it's been amazing to have you here today.
Awesome.
I'm so glad you were the 10th guest on the TruTalk
Yes,
Podcast.
number 10.
I love what you brought to the table today. I know that
Thank
everyone
you.
listening here today has gained something from there and learned from your ability to build relationships, truly care for people, connect with people, and help other people with their best interests.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on the TruTalk Podcast. It was a pleasure having you here today. And this is True Talks, where business meets real life.